You are standing in a kitchen that is not yours yet. Open plan, quartz countertops, soft afternoon light coming through double-pane windows that somebody upgraded 18 months ago specifically for this moment. The agent next to you says the words you have been waiting to hear. Great neighborhood, top school district, property values here only go up. You nod, you feel it. That warmth in your chest that says, this is the one. You have driven past this street twice already on your own. You notice the trimmed hedges, the quiet, the cars in the driveways that cost more than your annual salary, the recycling bins lined up like soldiers on a Tuesday morning. You make the offer that same evening, $42,000 over asking. Your hands are shaking when you sign, but it feels right. Because you're not just buying a house, you are buying the neighborhood, the label, the safety of knowing you made the right choice, the story you will tell at Thanksgiving. 6 years later, you will sit at that same quartz countertop, staring at a spreadsheet you built at 2 a.m, realizing you have lost money on the single biggest purchase of your life. Not because the house was bad, not because the market crashed, not because you were reckless, because nobody told you what good neighborhood actually means in the language of real estate and what it costs when you translate it into math. Here's the thing no one will say plainly. Good neighborhood is not a description, and it is a price tag. And the moment you hear it from an agent, from a listing, from your parents, from a colleague who bought there 2 years ago, from anyone, you need to understand one thing. You are not receiving information. You are receiving a markup. Every single dollar of that reputation is already priced into the house. Every trimmed hedge, every low crime stat, every school rating, every coffee shop with exposed brick and $8 lattes. It is all baked into the number on the listing. You are not discovering value. You are paying for consensus. And consensus in real estate is the most expensive thing you can buy. Let me show you how this works. Because it is not complicated, it is just invisible. And it is invisible on purpose. The agent does not get paid to find you a good deal. The agent gets paid a percentage of the sale price. 3%, sometimes 2.5%. The higher the price, the higher the check. So when the agent says, great neighborhood, that is not analysis. That is not experience. That is commission architecture. A house in a so-called good neighborhood sells for $520,000. The same square footage, same year built, same number of bedrooms, 15 minutes away in a neighborhood nobody talks about at dinner parties, sells for $380,000. The difference is $140,000. The agent makes $15,600 on the first house, $11,400 on the second. That is a $4,200 difference. For the same amount of work, the same number of phone calls, the same number of showings, nobody is lying to you. Nobody needs to. The incentive structure does the work silently. The agent will always guide you toward the neighborhood with the story, because the story is where the margin lives. And if you ask the agent about the neighborhood 15 minutes east, watch what happens. They will not say it is bad. They will say something softer, something like it is up and coming but not quite there yet. Or I would not recommend it for families right now. Or the resale could be tricky. None of these are facts. They are deflections, designed to keep you in the price range that pays their mortgage, not yours. Now meet the bank. The bank also loves good neighborhoods. Not because the bank cares about your quality of life, not because the bank worries about your commute or your children's playground. The bank cares about one thing: collateral. A house in a desirable area holds its value better in a foreclosure scenario. That is the calculation. If you stop paying, the bank wants to know it can resell quickly and recover its money. Good neighborhood is not a recommendation from the bank. It is a risk model that happens to sound like advice. And here's where it gets surgical. The bank will pre-approve you for a higher amount when you shop in premium areas. Not because you can afford more, because the collateral is safer. You walk in thinking you've been approved for $520,000 because the bank believes in you, because you are a responsible borrower, because your credit score earned it. The bank does not believe in you. The bank believes in the zip code. Your approval amount is a function of the asset, not the human. Your monthly payment on that $520,000 house at 6.8% over 30 years is $3,389. On the $380,000 house, it is $2,472. That is $917 a month. $11,004 a year. Over 30 years, you pay $330,120 more in total payments. For the same number of walls, the same number of rooms, the same roof over your head, but one of them came with a label. And now meet the most dangerous actor in the entire system, the narrative. The narrative is not a person. It is not a company. It is not a conspiracy. It is a loop, a self-reinforcing story that sounds like truth because everyone repeats it. Your parents repeat it. Your coworkers repeat it. The internet repeats it. Good neighborhood means safe. Good neighborhood means your kids will do better. Good neighborhood means your house will appreciate. Good neighborhood means you made it. Let us take these apart one at a time. Safe. Crime statistics are public. You can look them up in 4 minutes on your city's website. And when you do, you will find something interesting. The difference in property crime between a good neighborhood and a decent neighborhood 15 minutes away is often negligible. Sometimes it is literally zero, 1 break-in per year versus 0. But the price difference is 30%. You are not paying for safety. You are paying for the feeling of safety. And feelings in real estate cost 6 figures. Your kids will do better. School ratings are based on test scores. Test scores correlate almost perfectly with household income. Not teaching quality, household income. A school rated 9 out of 10 is not necessarily teaching better. It is drawing from wealthier families whose kids had tutors since 2nd grade, books on every shelf, and breakfast every morning before the bell rang. You are paying a premium for a metric that mostly measures the wealth of the parents sitting next to you at back-to-school night. Not the quality of the teachers in the building, not the curriculum, not the care, the wealth of the zip code. Your house will appreciate. This is the big one. And it is the one that costs people the most money. Because it sounds like a fact, and in absolute terms, yes, a house in a premium neighborhood will likely go up in value. But appreciation is not the same as return. And nobody in real estate wants you to learn the difference. Here is what is actually happening when you look at the numbers. And I mean actually look, not the version they show you. The version you calculate yourself. You buy in the good neighborhood for $520,000. Over 10 years, the area appreciates at 3.2% annually. Solid, respectable. Your house is now worth $714,000. You feel great? That is $194,000 in equity. On paper. But you put $104,000 down. You paid $339,000 in mortgage payments over those 10 years. You paid $52,000 in property taxes, $28,000 in maintenance, $14,000 in insurance. Your total cost of ownership is $537,000. Your net gain is $177,000. Not bad. You feel smart. You feel validated until you run the other scenario. You buy in the nobody talks about it at dinner neighborhood for $380,000. Over 10 years, that area appreciates at 4.8% annually. Why higher? Because undervalued areas grow faster. That is not an opinion. That is not optimism. That is how asset pricing works everywhere. Stocks, bonds, real estate. Underpriced assets have more room to move. The ceiling is further away. The gap between current price and actual demand is wider. That gap is your profit. Your house is now worth $598,000. You put $76,000 down. You paid $247,000 in mortgage payments, $34,000 in property taxes, $22,000 in maintenance, $11,000 in insurance. Total cost of ownership, $390,000. Your net gain is $208,000, $31,000 more, with $147,000 less out of pocket over the decade. Read that again. You made more money by buying the house nobody brags about, and you spent less money to do it, less stress, less sacrifice, less of your life converted into mortgage payments. The good neighborhood did not protect you. It charged you for the privilege of feeling protected. And the math was never in your favor. It was in the label's favor. So who benefits from you buying in the good neighborhood? Let us count. The seller benefits. They sell at a 30% premium because you believe the label. They walk away with an extra $140,000 because of a reputation they did not build. They just happen to live inside it. The agent benefits. Higher sale price means higher commission. $4,200 extra for pointing you toward the more expensive zip code. The bank benefits, larger loan means more interest collected over 30 years. $330,000 more from you over a lifetime. The local government benefits, higher assessed value means higher property taxes every single year for as long as you own the house. The insurance company benefits, they peg premiums to replacement value. Higher home price means higher premiums, automatically. Without asking, 5 actors, all profiting from the same decision. None of them lose a cent if you overpay. All of them lose money if you buy smarter. And not a single one of them will ever tell you to look at the neighborhood 15 minutes east. Because that neighborhood does not generate margin. It generates value. And value is bad for business when your business model runs on markup. Here's the rule nobody tells you. Smart buyers do not buy neighborhoods. They buy trajectories. A trajectory is the direction a neighborhood is moving, not where it is today, where it is going tomorrow. And the signals are specific, measurable, and completely public. You just have to know where to look. Building permits, if a neighborhood shows a spike in residential and commercial building permits over the last 18 months, money is already flowing in. Developers are not sentimental. They do not invest in feelings. That is not a guess. That is capital making a bet with its own money before the reputation catches up. New business licenses. A craft coffee shop does not open in a dying neighborhood. A brewery does not. A co-working space does not. A yoga studio with a $12 smoothie bar does not. These businesses do due diligence that you never see. They look at foot traffic patterns, income demographics, lease rate trends, population age curves. When they sign a 5-year lease, they are telling you something the real estate label has not caught up to yet. They are betting, with their own money, on the trajectory you can ride for free. Infrastructure investment. A city does not widen a road, add a bike lane, build a new park, or fund a new transit stop in a neighborhood it plans to abandon. Public investment is a leading indicator. It moves 3 to 5 years ahead of reputation. When you see orange cones and construction crews, you are not looking at inconvenience. You are looking at a signal that the city has already decided this area matters. Rental yield. If the rental income in a neighborhood produces a gross yield above 6%, that tells you the purchase price has not caught up to the demand. People want to live there. Landlords are filling units, but buyers have not arrived in force yet because the label is missing. The demand is there, the label is not. That gap is where your real return lives. None of this is secret, all of it is free. Building permits are public record. Business licenses are searchable online. Infrastructure budgets are published in city council minutes. Rental data is on every listing site you already use. But nobody tells you to look, because looking means buying the $380,000 house. And the entire system makes less money when you do. Now let me say something that most people in this space will not say. The desire to live in a good neighborhood is legitimate. Completely. It is not shallow, it is not stupid, it is not something to be ashamed of. You want safety, you want quiet streets where your kids can ride bikes, you want a decent school that does not make you worry. That is human. That is parenting. That is rational. But here's the distinction that changes everything. You can have all of those things without paying the label price. Because the label is not measuring quality, the label is measuring consensus. And consensus, by definition, is already priced in. You are paying for what everyone already agrees on, and that is always the most expensive position to take. The family that buys in the neighborhood before it gets the label gets the same streets, the same safety, the same improving schools, but they pay 40% less. And they ride the appreciation curve instead of arriving at the top of it. The family that buys the label pays for what already happened. The family that reads the trajectory pays for what is about to happen. Same outcome, same quality of life, same Saturday mornings at the park, radically different cost. That is not a gamble, that is literacy. And the system does not teach it because the system profits from your illiteracy. There's one more thing nobody mentions, and it might be the most expensive of all. The good neighborhood does not just cost you at the point of purchase. It costs you every single day you live there. Because neighborhoods have social economies. Invisible spending floors that nobody talks about but everybody obeys. If every driveway on your street has a $40,000 SUV, you feel the pressure to match. Not because anyone says anything, not because your neighbors judge you out loud, Because the environment calibrates your sense of normal, quietly, relentlessly, without ever asking permission. Your kids' birthday parties cost more because the other kids had a bounce house and a face painter and a custom cake. Your landscaping costs more because the neighbor hired a service and now your yard looks like the one house that gave up. Your holiday decorations cost more, your wardrobe shifts, your grocery store shifts. You stop going to the store that is fine and start going to the one that is appropriate. Your restaurant choices shift. Not dramatically, not all at once. Just a steady, quiet upward drift that adds somewhere between $800 and $1,500 a month to your lifestyle spending. Every month. For years. Until it becomes who you are. Nobody forced you. That is the thing. Nobody said a word. The neighborhood did it for you. It reprogrammed your baseline, and when you finally sit down one Sunday night and wonder why you are making $140,000 a year and still feel like you are one emergency away from trouble, the answer is sitting in your driveway, in your fridge, in your kid's closet, and in your children's expectations of what normal looks like. The good neighborhood did not just cost you $140,000 at the door. It restructured your spending identity permanently. And it did it so gently you never even noticed. Remember that kitchen? Quartz countertops, open plan. The agent's voice in your ear saying, property values here only go up. She was right, they did go up. 3.2% a year, a perfectly respectable number, a number you can mention at a dinner party without embarrassment. But 15 minutes east, a house you never saw in a neighborhood she never mentioned, went up 4.8%. On a lower base with a lower monthly payment, lower taxes, lower insurance, lower invisible social pressure, and a family inside it that saved $917 every single month for 30 years. That family did not buy the better story. They bought the better math. You did not buy a house that day. You bought a story. And the story was expensive. Not because it was wrong, because it was already priced in. And nobody at that countertop, not the agent, not the bank, not the narrative, had any reason to tell you the difference, because the difference is where their margin disappears. Next video, I am going to show you exactly how your down payment gets split the moment you hand it over. 5 actors, 5 cuts. And the number that actually reaches your house is a lot smaller than you think. Subscribe if you want. The rules of the game, not the brochure.